Haunt me, Daddy. We're keeping this in. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Welcome to
Haunt Me, Daddy.
Haunt Me, Daddy, a new project by, I'm Gibson Carter.
And I'm William K. Brooks.
Wow.
Wow, look at us.
Crazy.
We just spent, we've been working on this podcast for the last hour.
Yes.
In the sense that we were setting up photos and like test shots because we're professionals.
Yes.
And then we tried to plug in our mics and they didn't work. So
what we're trying to say is we are very new to this. We're excited to be here, but we're very new, and bear with us.
Please.
We're also in a New York apartment, so if you hear kids screaming, it's
when we
fine.
were trying to set up, we definitely had a crow just outside my window going, "Caw, caw."
I don't think it's a sign.
A good omen, or are we gonna die in 6 days?
It is spooky season.
We love spooky season.
So I guess we should talk about what this podcast is gonna be.
I think both of us, I think we'll both talk about ourselves individually, but we've both had a lot of interactions with the supernatural.
Yeah.
We both used to work together at a certain location that was extremely haunted that we will talk about in the future. You know, we've both had a lot of spooks throughout our entire life, and we know a lot of people who have a lot of spooks throughout their entire lives. So we were like, why not
explore that a little bit?
Yeah, figure it out.
Discuss, talk about it, talk about some trauma, like work through it. Maybe like look into some theories, are ghosts real or are we all just crazy? Like that's
probably
fine
both.
too.
It's probably both.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the places that we've seen ghosts, I don't think I personally have ever been like, what is the history of this place and why is it so spooky? Today when we talk about our first little stories, I was like, oh, that is definitely haunted. And I walked around there like it wasn't.
Here's the reason. People died here.
So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, so basically we're both going to bring our own ghost stories to the table.
Yeah. We'll have some guests in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Just going to discuss things we've seen, how it made us feel, why do we keep seeing these things?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
I think it's very important to note that we have a lot of interactions with ghosts. I myself am somewhat terrified in the sense that when I have an encounter with ghosts, I am like, oh, that was spooky, but okay. But like my friend Jose always sends me like TikToks of like spooky ghost things that happen.
Yes.
I can't watch them. I like literally, I'm like, oh, what's this? I'm like, never mind, and we're done. So
I'm guilty of that too. But like I'll watch those at 3 a.m. Like, oh my god, spooky, but it's fine, and I'll send them to everybody I know, and people get mad at me.
I'm just like, no, and then they're like, watch it, and I'm like, I can't. I'm gonna cry. So terrified of ghosts, but at the same time, love them to death.
Yeah, fascinated. When did you start having an interest? Do you remember?
Well, I definitely from a young age remember like having a spooky, always feeling a presence. I feel like there's stories of me going up to my parents and being like, oh, this is, blah, 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 my friend. And them being like, there's no one there. What are you talking about? Yeah, and it's like imaginary friends or ghosts.
Love that.
Know. So I definitely had that. And then just as I continued to grow up, I feel like I kept going to schools and locations and houses that were extra spooky and had something going on.
Yeah, because you moved around a lot.
I moved around a lot,
sure.
Yeah. Started in Texas and went all over. I just feel like there was a lot of stuff that was happening, and I definitely, when I got to college, I started listening to My Favorite Murder, and they would talk about, some ghost stories sometimes and the spookiness and all of that, and I was just like, oh, I'm all about this. And then I started having even more and more ghost interactions in college. So Yeah, so that's kind of like me, and here we are. What about you? Like, you're in South
Oh,
Carolina.
I know. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, born and raised.
Ooh.
It is one of the most haunted cities in America, probably the world. I don't know. So, like, I definitely grew up aware of the history of, like, there's so many ghost tours
Right.
in Charleston
Yeah.
and so many locations that are, like, known to be haunted by various ghosts. I mean, it's like there's a lot of rich history, a lot of problematic history.
Ooh,
Let's go
yeah.
ahead and say that.
Yep.
But like the Civil War started in Charleston, so like there's a lot of death and history.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In the city.
Yeah.
So I definitely grew up aware of it, and I was just always really interested in like spooky stuff. I loved
Right.
like I was really into that. It's one of those shows. I think maybe like The Haunting or A Haunting, and it was like always on those random like ID channel or something.
But we love
like
some
that.
ID.
And I would come home from school, be alone, and like in my big creepy house, and just watch it for hours instead of doing my homework. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but come home to your house alone, and I feel like I had a brother, and he would like go straight to his room, and I would like chill downstairs in the living room, and I feel like most kids would like turn on like Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And I turned on like Discovery and like today we're going to the 12 most haunted places in America, and I'm like, oh, this brings joy. And my mom would come home and be like, what were you watching? I was like, I'm Hannah Montana. Ha ha ha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was always turning on some, if not like a serial killer show on E, like Kids Who Kill or something. I was watching like these haunting recreations that were horrible.
Fantastic. We love them.
Wonderful.
We
like,
love
I
them.
would get spooked and I kind of loved it. But I don't know, I always felt like I like had two childhood homes basically. Like we moved when I was like 8.
Yeah.
But I always felt creeped out at night, and I definitely had a lot of experiences when I was little of feeling like something was in the room with me, like the monster in the closet type of thing. But I didn't really learn about like my family's rich history of like my mom saw a lot of ghosts, and I hope to have her on here eventually
that'd
to talk
be
about
fun.
it.
Love my girl.
Yeah, like it's crazy, and her father saw ghosts all the time. So I didn't know about this until like high school maybe. But yeah, it's kind of been a thing in my family for a while, and yeah, I just was always into it. And then in high school I had my first like actual experience, which I will talk about today. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just been a big part of my life. Partly because of where I'm from.
Absolutely.
And now I just love a good scary movie.
Yeah.
I
love a scary movie. I'm also the person who and I feel like I have people who are with me on this. But when I watch any sort of scary movie, I Google the entire plot.
Yes, you do!
I read it. I just like skim it. So I know kind of what's going on. And then I'll watch the movie and act like I have no idea what's going on.
An actor.
I am a, how do you say, actor.
Well, and that's funny because I'm kind of the opposite. I hate spoilers. I hate any kind of spoiler. Like, I'll look at the IMDb page just to see who's in it, what they've been in. Sure. Look at some reviews, maybe. I love to look at some Rotten Tomatoes reviews. But, yeah, I hate knowing the ending of, especially a scary movie, like...
Yeah.
If someone told me the twist of something before I got to experience it, I would be very upset.
I think I feel like that me having to like read about the plot, I feel like I'm someone also who is like, but what happened? Like, I need to know everything.
Right.
So I'm just kind of like, oh, well, this place is haunted. I'm like, okay, but why? Like, what's there? What happened? Who died? And I'm like, if I don't have the answers, I'm like, okay, well, we need to figure it out.
And that is why we've started this podcast.
And here we are. We're both in New York.
Yes.
We're going on year 3 of being in New York. We both graduated college and came to New York separately. I met Gibson through our dear friend, Grace.
Hey, Grace.
Hey, Grace, if you're listening. And Grace was like, you two are going to be friends. You guys are going to be great. So I was hanging out with Grace one night and she ordered Chinese food for us.
Yep.
And accidentally delivered the Chinese food to Gibson's apartment.
Yeah.
So
it was a nice surprise.
It was a little,
I was like, I didn't order this food, but thank you. No.
So then I had to put my like pants back on. I was like in some short shorts and like just chilling on the couch. I had to put my pants back on, hopped on the train with Grace, went to this apartment I'd never been to, which happened to be like 7 blocks away from where I like. We live so close to each other.
It was very funny how it all like worked out really well.
And that's how I met Gibson for the first time. And then from there we were like, do you want to go get food? And like we ate at this like yum place and
pretty much like pancakes, and that was it. Like...
And the rest was history.
The rest was history.
And then we became roommates like a year later. 2 years later, a year later, something like that.
Yeah.
It's 24/7. 24/7.
And I feel like we both, with the pandemic happening, and by the way, I hope everybody's safe and healthy.
Yes.
We've been bored, and I've been in desperate need for a creative outlet.
Same.
This just felt like the right time to do a project that I've definitely thought about for a long time. Like,
absolutely. I feel like
exploring this side of myself.
I feel like towards the beginning of the pandemic, I reached out to a lot of people and I was like, do you want to write about what this experience has been like for you? And I had like a little side project of that, and I kind of did it, and then it got to a point where I was kind of like, I have nothing else to say.
We're all going through it.
You know, this is what I need. I need to talk about things.
Talk it out. And it's the perfect time. We are in October. I'm ready to get spooky.
How much candy have we eaten, do you think?
I don't even want to know. It's disgusting.
I bought us 6 pounds of candy corn.
And if you don't like candy corn, you're just a hater.
Okay.
You're a hater.
Like, people who have like a preference between like regular candy corn and like harvest candy corn, okay. But people who downright hate candy corn, you have to understand, you are wrong. It's literally sugar. How can you be upset with sugar?
It's horrifying and amazing.
So yeah, we love candy, we love baking, we love all those things. So just lots of spooky month candy. Cavities is going to be the spookiest thing this month that happens. I think we both decided that today would be to start off our first recording, telling our first ghost story, the thing we first remember. So I think that's where we're going to hit it off.
Yeah.
Who goes first? Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? We can start with mine.
Shall start with the youngest. Lovely.
Okay. So my first ghost story.
I'm excited for this. I don't think I've heard this exact.
I don't think I've talked about it much because honestly, when I was doing the research and like trying to remember everything, I was like, oh, like it started flooding back in memories of like,
yes,
when I did this play there and when I did this and that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like a lot, because this was like back like parents were still married,
right.
Like I lived in a different state, like
a totally different lifetime.
I mean, I was in second grade, so obviously when my parents were still together, I was like born in Texas, and then from there it was like constantly moving around because my dad was, I don't know what he was doing. I think he wanted friends or his job, you know. So we were just bouncing around from like state to state, and finally we landed in Ohio. And this was the state before I ended up in North Carolina, where I like went to high school and college. Right. We moved to this like small town. It's called Elyria, Ohio. Ooh. I definitely am the worst speller, so I typed in literally 12 million different spellings of Elyria because I was like A-R-Y-T. It's E-L-Y-R-I-A.
Beautiful.
So I obviously know nothing.
When I hear Elyria, I think of like 12th Night, She's the Man, like this.
Oh yeah.
No connection.
So Elyria, Ohio, in 2010, the census said that there were about 54,000 people living there. It is in the county of Lorraine, and it is about 23 miles from Cleveland. Wow. These are things I know nothing of. I was like,
is that big?
I don't know. I guess New York City has what, 5 million? How many millions of people live here? So if that's a comparison, let's see.
I don't know. Let's 8.399 million as of 2018, according to Google.
So Elyria has 54,000 to make a nice comparison. So I lived in 2 different houses in Elyria. And the first house was like a new house. It was fine. Hated it. Very white. Very boring. And then I moved to an older house a year later. And that one I always had like weird feelings. Like it was one of those houses where it didn't make sense. Like the building of it, I was like, they put walls up after it was built.
Right.
And I'm like, so it was like a hallway would go just 12 different directions, and like the rooms were all different sizes. Like it just like
structurally didn't make sense.
Yeah, it was weird. It's like obviously they like built on things and like
well, that alone can be creepy for a kid.
Oh, absolutely.
So like, what is this
because
place?
You think like, I guess also coming from a house that's like brand new and it's like living room, bedroom, kitchen, and then going to this older house that was like front room, kitchen connected to front room and back living room, hallway that goes 2 different. It was just weird. I don't know. It was a weird thing. And like the hallway that had like all the bedrooms on it.
Right.
It was like mine was the first bedroom, and then you like went down the hallway and it was only one singular light in the hallway. So it was always like really spooky.
Yeah.
But in reality, it probably wasn't. It was just me being small. Because my bedroom was the first door, so I like never went down the hallway because I didn't have a reason to. But then it was like bathroom, and then parents' room, and then my brother's room, and then like there was like a closet, and then some weird other small office that was like really the size of a closet too, but I think my mom turned it into an office. And that neighborhood was like, I'm like remembering this as I'm saying it, but like the neighborhood was like much older than the other one. It had so many spooky trees. I remember my next door neighbors was this old married couple, and they were so sweet and cute. And then like the woman had cancer, but she always made cookies for us. Every Friday we would come home from school and she'd have cookies that she'd make. It was like the sweetest thing because we didn't know her. She just like was like, I'm an old woman who nice, my grandchildren like live far away, so like I'm gonna make you guys
very
cookies.
Like all American little neighborhood
in Ohio. Come on, like I was like, okay, just wait, I'm a homosexual, ma'am. But
if only they knew.
If only they knew. So she would bring cookies, and then she passed away. It was one of those things where I came home on like one Friday, and there were no cookies. Like I came home and I saw her outside, like across the way, and then I came inside and there were no cookies. And I was like, oh, weird. And then I was like, Mom, like, I was kind of expecting the cookies because, she always gives them.
Where's my payment, girl?
Because she would give the cookies, and then we'd like eat one, and then we'd like run across and be like, thank you so much. Yeah. Like it was kind of, like a
little routine.
A routine. And there were no cookies, and we were like, oh, that's weird. Like there's no cookies. And we were like, Mom, what's going on? Like there's no cookies. But I just saw, I can't tell you what her name was, but I just saw, Luann. I don't know why I picked that name.
Luann.
I just saw Countess Luann across the street. Like, what's going on? And my mom was like, she passed away. Like, he just came over and told us that she passed. Like, yeah, she passed last night.
What?
And I had no idea, but I saw her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a little chill. Wait, okay, so she was like outside her house, kind of like
because she was like, remember that all American, like, I'm gardening, I'm old, like
around.
Look at me, like baking cookies, gardening, walking the dog, like that was her.
Whoa.
And so I came home, like, saw her, like, gardening or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's very normal. Because that's usually where she was. Go inside. Cookies. No cookies.
What is this?
What is that?
There aren't cookies.
Like, bitch, what's going on? There was a standard that is not being met.
Oh my god. Jeez.
And
but that is so crazy.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
Do you remember your reaction? Because you were young, but do you remember
I think
the initial moment of like, wait, what?
I don't think I processed it.
Right.
I think I didn't, because my mom told me that. Hey, Marcia. And I kind of was like, oh, but I just saw her outside, like.
Confused.
And I was kind of like, am I thinking of another, like,
grandma?
Yeah, but I was like, no, like, it was definitely her out. So I was just kind of like, okay. And, like, I didn't process it. And it kind of, like, I think I just went about my day. And then I honestly think I saw her a few more times.
Wow.
And I was like, my mom must be mistaken. Like, I swear, like, she's out there, like, in the garden, like, you know, doing the things. Nope. I didn't go because I have, like, a huge fear of funerals.
I wanted to talk about fears on here.
Oh, well, here it is.
Interesting.
We can talk a little more about that later, but I have a huge fear of funerals, so I didn't go to her funeral, but my mom did. And I just, like, again, didn't get it, because I was like, no, she's, like, in the garden outside. Like, she's, like, her, and nope.
Wow.
And it was really sad, but it was really cute, because the guy, for a few Fridays when we still lived there, he would just get store-bought cookies.
Oh.
And he would, like, still try. I know.
Oh, God. Are you serious?
Very serious. Like, it broke our hearts, because he was just this sweet old man, and he literally was like, I can't bake, like, Luann, so I'm just gonna, like, I'm gonna try for these kids, because, again,
that
like,
is so sweet.
His grandkids lived far away, so, like, we were, like, the fill-in grandkids, you know, for those days. So he tried to do that for a while, and then I think he got sick.
That is really sad.
And then he moved to, like, a nursing home.
Right.
And I remember that house, like, the flowers died, and, like, there was no, like, it was like when he left, she went with him.
Oh my God.
So I'm sure she was chilling at that nursing home with him until he went.
Wow.
But yeah, and that was just, like, the next door neighbor, like, nothing ever happened, but, like, that was that.
That's still a huge moment, though, because, like, as a, you know, what are you, 7 in 2nd grade?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, I feel like you don't really understand death yet.
Yeah, oh, absolutely
as
not.
a full
Absolutely
concept.
not.
So it's,
I mean,
like, that is a very confusing thing.
Right.
And I fully believe that kids are way more susceptible.
I was reading an article that was kind of like, why do kids see ghosts so much more than us? And it was kind of like, well, they make up imaginary friends. And I was like, no, there's a difference.
I feel like it probably has something to do with, you know, the older we get, the more distracted we are.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like, as a kid, your life is kind of boring. You have nothing else to do but to see everything around you, and you're taking everything in constantly. Yeah. I think kids are just, like, open to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Part of that, like, innocence, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah. For the rest of the neighborhood, just to let you know, it was like a U-shaped neighborhood. So it was like long street. Mm-hmm. I lived on the long street. Then it was like short street that connected the other long street. So like you. And then across the street from the long street was another house. And then behind that house was like this creepy church. Ooh. And I was a Cub Scout. And that's where the Cub Scouts met. So to get there, I would have to run through the forest to the church. And it was always at like 7 p.m. Ooh, so it was dark out. So let's just say...
That alone
It wasn't great.
is creepy.
It wasn't great.
Absolutely creepy.
And then, you know, churches, like, that's a whole...
Churches are inherently creepy.
Oh.
I don't care what you say. You can... I don't... You know, you do you, boo, but...
Terrifying.
That shit's creepy.
Yeah.
As a former church-going girl.
Same.
Creepy.
Oh. Anyway, that's the neighborhood I lived in. But the school I went to was in a different... like city within that county, I guess. It wasn't even a city, it was a village. It was...
Did you grow up in France? Like...
It was the village of Grafton. Ooh. So I was looking up some facts about Grafton, because I thought it was just called Grafton, and then I was looking all of it up, and it's the village of.
Ooh, fancy.
I was like, oh, fancy. In 2010, the census said that there was 7,000 people living in that city. Tiny.
Okay, that's tiny.
Tiny. But then I looked it up, and as of 2019, there's only like 5,000 people living there.
No, what happened to
So for some
them?
reason, a lot of people are leaving.
Oy.
Which, let's be honest, from some of the stuff I'm looking up about this place, it's scary. Let me read you the Wikipedia page, like...
We love Wikipedia.
Ooh, Wikipedia. So the little, like, summary it has is, Grafton is a village in Lorain County, Ohio, United States, along the east branch of the Black River.
I'm sorry.
Who names a river Black River?
Black
River. The plague is, like... What?
Black River of Death? Like...
Honestly. So, I mean, it's got to be haunted already if it's called the Black River. The population was, 6,636 at the 2010 census. So it wasn't even 7,000.
I thought you were going to say 6,600.
Could you? It was close. Literally 6,636. Like, girl. And then... the fun little fact that it adds into the summary, it could have literally said anything. The Lorain Correctional Institute and several other prisons are located in and near Grafton.
Okay.
So I guess this is just a village of prisons.
A prison town on the Black River. Sounds like a movie to me.
Honestly, I'm like, am I in a scary movie already? Like, what?
Yeah, it sounds like a creepy movie already.
Like, what? So I went to, I think, Grafton Elementary School for 1st and 2nd grade. And I looked it up, and it opened in 1935.
Ooh.
So already...
Spooky year.
It's already so old.
That's a spooky year.
Yeah.
Wow.
From the looks of it, there's not a lot of history on, Grafton, the village, because someone's hiding all of it, I'm sure. So much matter.
It goes all the way to the top.
All the way to the top. It looks like it was a high school first, and then they turned it into an elementary school.
Okay.
Also, this elementary school, what did they call it? Primary school. It was only like kindergarten, 1st and 2nd.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
I think
you
that's primary.
left to go to the other school, because I remember in 2nd grade we went to the other school for a field trip to tour it, because it's we are gonna be big kids now because we're in 3rd grade, you know.
Yeah.
And then I think it was
That's
3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then 7th. I don't know. They broke everything up. It was weird. So that was the school. And I was looking it up, and apparently it closed.
Oh.
In 2007.
Okay.
So not that long after I left,
it closed.
Did the school close? Which it needed to, because it was old and disgusting. I found a Facebook page. And I looked it up. The only 2 things, 2 posts that are on there, it's reposts of the same post, is one that's a fund to remove the mold and asbestos and all that stuff from it, which I'm like, this is a closed school. Why are you trying to fix it? That seems
unless they're trying to
wasteful.
Use the building for something else.
I don't know.
Yikes.
And then the second thing, which was the top of the list, was a ghost hunt at the old Grafton School on October 12th.
October 12th?
Happening
this week?
in 3 days.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What? Are we going?
No, unfortunately, tickets are sold out.
Oh my. Okay, so this is like a ticketed event.
Ticketed event to go on a ghost hunt in this old school that is now abandoned.
And full of asbestos.
Right. Also. And also you got to remember, we're in the village of Grafton in Ohio, USA. So no one is wearing masks.
Ooh. But you should be.
You should be, not only because of COVID-19, but for the asbestos.
Asbestos. Asbestos for the rest of us.
So yeah, those are the two things that pop up.
I want to go.
I want to show you some photos of the school, which
oh my God. I'm excited
we
about this.
will put on the Instagram so that you can see it. The photo I have here isn't the best photo, but this is the front of the school.
Oh. Guys, I need you to understand how creepy that shit looks like. This set for some lame teen haunted ass movie.
Exactly. So that's the front of it, and then here are the photos. I found this website that's just literally old schools of Ohio that are all like closed now, and it's just photos of them. It's weird, but like there's no information besides when it opened and when it closed, and like who owns it. It's weird. So here are these photos.
It's just so much gray.
Yeah. Just
gray, flat, creepy. Oh my God, that's a playground that is covered in sharp sticks and
I just want to let you know that was the playground I played on.
Wow. It is
like I remember this that dome structure.
Yeah. That climbing thing.
Uh-huh.
That's horrifying.
Yep, there's a swing set. Yep.
Was it
honestly
overgrown like that?
Not as much, but it definitely did look like this. Like I'm seeing this and I said, this is not far off from what it really did look like. So, yeah, that...
It looks, I hate to say this, but it looks a little Chernobyl-y.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Very abandoned.
It's very... I mean, these photos are obviously, like, from it being abandoned.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, not far off from what it originally looked like.
Wild.
Honestly, the only difference is, like, the grass was a little shorter and there were obviously windows instead of boarded up.
Yeah.
You know. But also, like... I have a few questions.
Yeah.
If this ghost hunt is happening and all the windows are boarded up, and in my mind there's no electricity,
flashlights are gonna be abound. That's creepy.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that though. I would love to get to go on a ghost tour at night.
I'm just Googling real quick the school. From like map view. I found it. Oh, do you want to know what street? I'm Googling this now. Do you want to know what street Grafton Elementary School that closed in 2007 and was open in 1935 sits on?
What?
Take a guess for me. A creepy street, an iconic creepy street.
Elm Street?
Elm Street.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
No.
It sits on Elm Street.
Absolutely not.
Elm Street. There it is.
Where's the black fucking river? Like,
we'll find it. Okay, so like...
You went to a creepy ass school on Elm Street.
Okay, like there it is.
Was Johnny Depp there in his crop top? Or...
Look at all this. This is the back of it.
He is showing me the back of the school is just a vacant, dead, giant patch of grass? ?
Yeah.
A field?
A field of some kind.
Woods?
Yeah. And here's the Black River that's a block away.
Oh, it's very windy.
Yeah. So
okay, the Elm Street thing.
I didn't even see that.
If you didn't show me the map, I would call bullshit. 100%.
Nope. Next to the black,
which I haven't seen that movie ever.
Elm Street?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
I don't think I have either. I guess we have
it
to watch it.
We definitely have to watch it now.
We definitely have a list of all the movies we want to watch in October.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing pretty okay.
Yeah.
We started...
you guys have suggestions,
yes,
let us know.
Yeah, because we need to see all the spooks.
Wow, that's wild.
So yeah, that's that.
So cursed.
It was so cursed.
Cursed from the start.
Definitely was trying to get the spook factor in here. So I Googled Grafton school deaths.
Ooh, dangerous.
And I couldn't really find any information on deaths. The only thing that popped up was this small little article that said 2 young girls, Loretta Russell, and Elizabeth Woodbury, were killed while swinging. This is probably one of the 2 most famous tragedies of the history of Grafton. Loretta was 14, Elizabeth was 13 at the time of their death in 1866. So obviously it wasn't at that school, I guess. But also, like, who knows? Maybe they built a new school on top of the old school. But that's, when I type in Grafton Elementary School deaths, it pops that up.
What year was that? I'm sorry.
1866.
Loretta and Elizabeth. 2 young girls.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That is horrifying. They died on the swings.
Yeah. Well, I first read it and I thought it said that they died swimming.
In the Black River.
In the Black River. And then I read it again and I was like, oh no, they died on the swings.
That's really... I can't imagine, like, a worse sentence, to be honest.
2 young girls were killed while swinging.
I just have a lot of questions, and I'm horrified.
Yes. So that's all I could find on that.
13 and 14?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Babies.
But also, like, on swings?
Yeah.
Like,
Oy.
so that's all I could find on that. So you'll see the photos. There's tragedy in this little village.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I pretty much had a peaceful experience in that village. There was lots of field trips to, like, the park where we'd have, like, nature walks and we'd, you know, play outside. And since it was a high school, they had a huge auditorium that was, like, had all these, like, stadium risers. And, like, we did a Christmas show that was, like, a catered event. And you had to, like, buy tables. And, like, so, like, it was poppin'.
Yeah, it was a nice, a thriving little community.
Definitely, like... Think of, like, Gilmore Girls' small village.
Okay.
But, like, haunted.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
And there's some spooky shit happening.
Yes. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely knew every kid in the school. I felt like.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind, this was when I was, 7? So, you know, this is what I'm remembering.
Yeah. But that's an impressionable age.
Yes.
Yeek.
So that's Grafton Elementary School. But basically, my mom was on the PTO or something. So we often were at the school in the late hours of the night. And while she was in the meeting, me and my brother could just basically run free throughout the school.
Oh, wow. In creepy dark
hallway where all the lights were off. None of the classrooms were locked, so we could go into all the dark classrooms.
I'm just picturing my elementary school wasn't even that creepy looking during the day, but as soon as nighttime hit...
Oh, absolutely.
And the lights were off, and that linoleum sounded like an echo through hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So...
No, thank you.
Imagine all of that. It's just so old and dark. There's basically one classroom that has the lights on for the meeting for the PTO. And then 2 small 6 and 7-year-olds running around this school playing hide and seek.
Oh my god. There are so many ways that could have gone for y'all.
Like,
wow.
Hide and seek in this school.
That's really... I'm a little bit jealous, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it was kind of awesome.
It's kind of the shit I would have loved to do.
Like, thinking about it, I'm just like, yeah, like, this school is awesome. Like, the fact that I got to go there and, like, the memories I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also would do, like, we did, like, summer camp there one year. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, of course I did theater summer camp. So I think I was the third little pig. We did the 3 little pigs. That was the third one.
The third little pig.
But that's what I remember in my mind, and now I'm feeling like I actually wasn't a pig and I was a tree. Can't remember.
You know, there's no small parts.
No small parts.
No small.
So, yeah, this school was basically kindergarten, first grade, second grade. It used to be a high school. It's dark at night, PTO. And
Creepy shit.
I definitely would play hide and go seek in these dark classrooms. And, you know, there would be like laughter of other children. And I was like, oh, like other kids must be here because like other parents are here. Nope. We were the only kids there.
Oh, wow.
And we were always the only kids there because like my mom like went from work, picked us up, stayed at the meeting, done. Like didn't have time because my dad was being a drunk somewhere else. Yeah, there's not really any like spooky thing that happened. It's just like throughout that school I would be there a lot during the night and have these experiences of like like
are we alone?
Are we alone? I don't think we're alone. I'm in this scary theater that only has like the stage ghost light on, and I'm definitely seeing things and like hearing things, and you know, there were many times where I would like turn down the long hallway because it was like the gym, the cafeteria, a bunch of classrooms, so it was just like a really long hallway. So when you turn around that corner, you just like it's you, and then like it felt like a mile of hallway to the end, which like would be the doors to outside. And like often felt like I saw things standing at the other end.
Ooh.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't like that.
So this little village of Grafton
made an impact.
It definitely got me started on that journey between, you know, Luann and these dead children. Oh, I forgot to mention, we also went outside in the night on that playground.
It's kind of a miracle you both didn't like split your head open or something.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised.
The full concrete playground.
I love my mom and I do think she is a very good mother, but I'm thinking about it and I was like, I was left alone so often.
For sure.
It
was the early 2000s.
It was the early 2000s. I feel like the 90s and the early 2000s, it was like...
Run free. Don't be stupid.
If you scrape your leg, you'll be fine.
Rub some dirt on it.
Exactly. So, yeah, we would play on that playground and, like, definitely, like, swings moving on their own. Like,
you were left to your own devices.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And I, like...
That's pretty cool.
I feel like I had a really close connection with the supernatural. And, like, I wasn't really scared. I was just kind of like, cool. Like, I see the ghost,
it's
whatever.
There. Yeah.
My brother was terrified. Like, he would feel the presence or whatever and, like, run back to where my mom's classroom was. Or, like, where my mom was in a classroom.
And you were like, hey.
Oh,
you guys want to hang out?
Are you guys single?
Little Victorian children down the hall.
Do you want to come swing with us? We're dead.
You're like, yes.
Yes, I love the swings. Push me higher. Like, yeah.
I love that.
So now, you know, if COVID-19 ever chills the fuck out, I really just want to go see it.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I really have to say about, like, my first ghosts.
Yeah.
Is, you know, the village of Grafton, like Elyria, Ohio, when I was in the first and second grade, like those experiences of like my neighbor, the creepy church, Grafton school. You know, I might have got a million facts wrong about these places, but like...
Who needs them?
Who needs them? And that's what I remember, and that's all that matters, isn't it? So yeah, and that's just like the beginning of my ghost experiences, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that.
That was spooky and great.
Yeah.
Wow. So for me, when we decided to do this, I pretty much like immediately thought of this one story because it is like I was a little older, but it's like the one story in my life where I definitively can say I became a believer that night. Before this event, I was like, I love ghost shit. I want to be like...
But did you believe ghost shit?
Like, I believed it.
But, like, you're not really?
But I never had this concrete event where I could say, oh, no, I saw a full-body apparition.
Ooh, okay.
So strap in, because,
yeah.
Where to begin? I'm feeling a little nervous. So basically, like I said, I'm from Charleston. One of the, like, iconic kind of tourist attractions is the USS Yorktown. There's a big bridge that connects it to Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Which is where my grandma lives, hey. And the Yorktown is docked, like, across the bridge. So if you're standing in downtown Charleston looking out on the water, the Yorktown is, like, across the way. You can see it.
Okay.
So, you know, from where I grew up, maybe, like, a 20-minute drive, not even.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
From the college, like, a 5-minute drive over the bridge.
Sure.
You're good. Like, it's giant. I will show you a photo.
Okay.
So you get an idea. Like, this thing is, you can't miss it.
Oh.
It's huge.
Oh, it's huge.
It's not like a little dinky submarine attraction.
I feel like...
This ship is...
It's huge.
It's really big. I have the thing. Hold on.
I feel like just my knowledge of Charleston is in, like, the 7th or 8th grade. My school from North Carolina, we went on, like, a Charleston field trip.
Yes.
And we spent, like, 2 days there. And I think we went to, like, a market and, like, some sort of market that was, like, awful.
Used to be the...
That's what I assume.
The slave market, unfortunately.
Yes.
There's a lot of history
Yeah.
having to do with the slave trade and Civil War.
Yeah.
Because it was all a huge part of
But
the city.
that's all I remember. And then I think we stayed at, like, the Holiday Inn. So, like,
Yeah.
that's where is, like, the Holiday Inn and the market. And that's, like, all I remember.
Yeah. So it's 873 feet long.
Okay.
Steel ship on the water. It's permanently docked. It was brought to be permanently docked in 1975. But it was a warship. I have a lot of facts. Okay, so the technical name is the USS Yorktown CV-10, and it was a World War II Navy ship, and now it's a museum. So this is what Google says, really quick.
Thank you, Google.
The Yorktown is one of 24 Essex-class aircraft carriers built during World War II for the U.S. Navy. She was named after the Battle of Yorktown of the American Revolution, is the 4th U.S. Navy ship to bear the name. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to talk much about the history other than the creepy stuff.
We know it's a boat. It's got some shit.
Big ass boat. Creepy as hell.
And now it's a museum.
Yeah, so now it's a museum. They do events there, like formal, like charity events.
Had a photo. Wait a second. Is this the boat that Southern Charm? I think they had an event on it. Or, like, there was an episode where they were on the boat.
I'm gonna guess probably, yeah.
I feel like there aren't that many ships in Charleston
it's
that people haven't.
One.
Yeah. Okay, so I've definitely seen an episode of Southern Charm, which I do not watch anymore because
let's say we don't support
it. But before we realized that it was not good, I definitely watched an episode where I think there was, like, some event.
I'm sure.
Where they had to, like, walk up to it and then they got on it. I don't know what the event was, but I think there was, like, some sort of event.
They do huge parties, charity events. They do, like, a ball every year or something.
Okay.
They do tours.
Okay, so it was huge.
Yeah, it's giant.
Yeah.
And there's, like my professor in college, like, hey, Todd, talked about there was some event where they hired actors to all play different, like, TV characters and all the characters of MASH.
Oh, okay.
Basically to walk around the ship and, like, talk to guests and stuff. So it's, like, one of those, it's, like, a big, fancy museum.
Okay.
They host a lot of events. They do tours all the time. I mean, we definitely toured it when I was in probably elementary school, maybe 5th grade, 5th or 6th. Because they have a lot of the aircrafts still there, helicopters. And everything in the ship is basically set up museum style with these, I hate to say it, but they're the creepiest mannequins.
Oh no, not mannequins.
I've ever seen. And I need to find an image of that for you to see.
No.
But, like, it's unnecessarily creepy. So they basically have it all, you know, with plaques about what the shipmen would be doing.
Yeah.
In their little positions with the mannequins done. But, you know, it basically had a lot of death on the ship because these, you know...
It was a warship?
It was a warship, and these Navy men lived on it, like, year-round, and...
Wait, what war was this in?
It was commissioned.
Okay.
It was constructed, in 1941, and commissioned in 1943.
Okay.
So that's how old it is.
Okay.
And then it earned 11 battle stars in Japan in World War II, and then 5 battle stars in the Vietnam War. So it went all over the place.
I know this sounds stupid, but I feel like sometimes I'm like, wow, that boat has been everywhere. And like,
yeah, right?
Like, I'm just like, oh, this boat that I'm standing on was in Japan.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's been around.
Yeah.
And a lot of tragedy on the boat. I mean, obviously it was in wartime.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there were a lot of accidental deaths happening. But there was one of the like most famous...
Oh, by accidental you mean ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good. Got it.
There was like an accident, I believe, on the flight deck, which is like the outside part with all the planes and stuff. Guys, please bear with me talking about this. I'm not an expert
I don't know
on any of this
I'm literally
stuff.
the only knowledge I have of like ships like this is like from movies.
Exactly.
And like I'm thinking of like
this was
the
in a few
Titanic.
movies.
I'm not thinking of the boat, the Titanic. I'm thinking of the boat at the beginning of the movie that they're on to go to the Titanic. That's literally like my reference of knowledge. So
I mean, that's about the same as me. I'm really just going off of what I remember from being there.
Sure.
And like I should know more, but you know, here we are. So one of the big events that happened that a lot of people think is why it's so haunted is there's so much tragedy, but there was a Japanese dive bomber in World War II injured. Like, it crashed into the side of the boat, and it injured 18 and killed 5 men that day. And this is allegedly an image from that day.
Oh my goodness.
Like, oh no. Big billows of smoke. People died.
That's crazy.
Very tragic. So there was, like, a couple of events like that where there was also an explosion on the flight deck as well, where something blew up and men were killed. There's a lot of suicide on the boat because obviously being in a cold place, you know, stuck at sea for months on end and mental health was not obviously something people talked about.
Mental health.
What's that?
What's that?
I don't know her.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
okay. I'm getting a nice painted picture of this place.
I'm just trying to paint a picture
for
everybody that it's a very tragic history, and approximately 141 men died on board.
Okay.
So, a lot of activity.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much why. So, I guess I'll get into...
Ooh, here we go.
My particular story. Yeah, I was really into, like, ghost hunting shows.
Sure.
And I kind of always secretly wanted to be a paranormal investigator.
How does one get started in that?
I have
topic
no
for another
idea.
Day. Yes, so you want to do that.
I wanted to do that. Like, I was always so jealous of those ghost hunter shows or, like, ghost adventures and stuff. Like, I just always wanted to do that. So, for my 17th birthday, this would be winter of 2013. I'm a Capricorn.
Wow, 2013. What a year.
I know, it's really wild. 17th birthday present. You know, my mom is very into, like, giving experiences as gifts.
Honestly?
Which is amazing.
Love.
Like, very blessed. So I don't remember if I specifically asked for it or if it just came up, but basically I wanted some kind of ghost tour.
Sure.
But the real deal.
Oh, absolutely.
There's tons of ghost tours in Charleston that are touristy and, like, they walk you through all the famous cemeteries and all this stuff, and they take you to the old jail, which is... We'll talk about that probably in the future. But I really wanted to do, like, a legit ghost hunting
Sure.
tour, like go investigate a place. And my mom just happened to go to high school with this guy who his name's Bruce, or hey Bruce. He
Like Bruce, like, or like last name spelling for me.
I think it's I hope I'm right. ORR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But good old Bruce, they went to high school together, and he was a homicide investigator
Stop.
in Charleston. And then when he retired, he always had an interest in the ghost stuff of Charleston, because there's tons of stories in history and books, and it's just a lot going on. So he decided to become a paranormal investigator and writer. So he's written tons of books about all of this, and he gives tours constantly. And he's the real deal, because he's like, no bullshit. You know, he's not there to give you a fun time and spook you. He wants people to really experience something, because he has so many stories. He has a lot of photographic and video evidence, which he showed us a lot the night we went on tour with him. Like, I don't know if I've gotten into it this much
Excuse
before.
me, I don't, you can't see my face, obviously, but I'm just like mouth, like, I'm like, what? Like,
yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah. This is like...
Like, happy birthday.
I know. It's one of those experiences that, like, wouldn't have happened if it didn't work out perfectly. That she just knows this guy and is still friends with him on Facebook, and he's a really great guy. So he was like, of course I'll take you guys on a tour. Like, I'd love to do that.
Well, I also love that he's not like, I'm gonna make it spooky. He's like, no, these are the facts.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you the spook because the spook is already there. Like,
yeah.
I'm not making any spook.
And he used to be, like, in homicide. So
yeah.
He's, like, a very, like, no bullshit, like, kind of a cop.
Sure.
Or detective, I should say, mentality.
Right.
Where he's like, these are the facts. We're going to investigate, like, if it was something else. Like, he would debunk things the whole night, too. And be like, no, I know that sounded creepy, but I think it's this, actually. So he wasn't there to sell it, which is why it was so fun.
Okay.
So basically, it worked out that we could do a tour, and he offered to take us on a private tour of the USS Yorktown.
Ooh.
And it was me, my mom, Bruce, and then two of my best friends.
Okay.
Mary Grace and Hannah. Hey. And then, so it was like a tiny group of us and 2 security guards on the boat.
Okay.
And it was like midnight to 4 a.m. on a school night, by the way, in January. So it was freezing cold.
Oh, because you're on the water, too.
Yes, we're right on the water. Yeah. So it does make a ton of, like, creepy boat sounds
all
night long. And it's freezing because it's literally a steel tank. Like, it's crazy big.
I feel like I don't often go on boats should I say ships? I don't often
go on... It is a ship.
I don't often go on ships. So, like, what must the atmosphere sound like from, like, 4 people on a boat alone, on a ship alone, to, like, hundreds of Army or Navy men on a ship together? Like, what is the difference? Because I'm spooked right now. Okay.
Oh, it honestly, even if I hadn't seen anything or experienced anything that night, the entire experience would have still been the scariest ever. Because it was just walking on the ship at night, no tourists, pitch black. The only part of the boat that had a light on, other than, like, the glow of some emergency exits here and there, and our flashlights, was, like, the front entrance where tourists come in, called the hangar deck.
Okay.
And, that was the only part of the ship that had lights. And that's actually very important to remember. 4 of us, plus Bruce.
Okay.
And then the security guards, I don't remember their names. We didn't, like, hang out with them.
Dean and
Marge.
Philip. Dean and Marge.
Dean and Marge. So basically, this is important too. Like, the 2 security guards on the boat, because it's a big place, lots of expensive stuff in there, important historical things. So it's guarded pretty securely.
Yeah.
And they've had people break in the past and do shenanigans and stuff. So we met the 2 security guards at the beginning, and it was like a middle-aged woman.
Okay, Marge.
You know, Marge. And then an older gentleman that kind of walked with, like, I think he had a cane.
Okay, great. Dean with
kind
a
of
cane.
an old guy walk. No disrespect, like a little bit of a limp.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like feeling real safe, guys. No, it was fine. But so basically,
are these the ones that call the cops?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, cool.
Are there a set of backup security guards that are like in the booth? With their donuts? Like, what's the deal here? Like,
what's happening?
Yeah.
So basically, that was it. And they both had told, like Bruce told us that they've both experienced things before, but kind of all of the staff of the boat is pretty much used to it by now, and they just shrug it off, and they say, leave me alone.
Shrug it off. Oh my goodness.
And we were
okay.
like, huh?
Yeah.
So basically, we get there. I'm pumped.
Sure.
There are photos from that night. I need to find one for you to see, because we were completely bundled up with like multiple beanies and multiple fleeces, because we didn't have like winter coats because it's
you
South
live in Charleston. Like, come on.
Yeah, but it was cold, and we basically got in there, and Bruce kind of took us into a room, and sat us down, and kind of like a little lecture hall type of place. And he kind of sat us down and talked us through, what we were going to do, what he had seen before. But he was very clear, like, if you see something, we're all going to sit down and talk about it. If there's something going on, like, I'm here to protect you guys, too. Because, like, he used to be a cop or whatever.
Okay.
So he was, like, very serious about it. There was nothing fun, like, we're going to run around the boat and laugh.
Right.
About this.
Like, this is a serious matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're like 3 17-year-old giddy, like it's midnight on a school night, like oh my gosh, ghosts. And my two friends weren't really like they weren't as into it as me, probably.
Sure,
they were excited.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is gonna change
this
my
is
life.
everything.
And I think everybody was scared shitless. Like even my mom, my poor mother, Allison. She kept having to be the mom and like lead up the back, and she said that she hated it because she was literally like we were like, no, I don't want to be last.
They're gonna get me. Yeah,
gonna get me, and she was thinking the same thing.
She was like, yeah, they're gonna get me too, you guys.
Guys, you bitches, like don't leave me for dead.
What are their names again?
Your Mary, Grace, and Hannah.
Hannah to the back. Hannah to the back.
Get in the back.
I don't know you, girl, but you're to the back.
So it was really funny. Like it was not this like fun high school girls running around the boat at night. It was very serious, and so basically we walked around the whole ship in total darkness.
Amazing. How many flashlights for reference? Everyone had one, or just
everybody
one?
had their own.
Okay, got it.
I think I might have broken my fingers. I was holding onto it so tight. Like I was so scared. So he kind of took us on a tour of the whole boat, which took forever. I mean,
I'm sure. What did you go like from top to bottom to top? Like that sounds like.
I'm trying to remember. Like I feel like.
Again, I'm referencing my knowledge of the Titanic.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking lots of sleeping areas,
yeah,
dining areas, gym. Like I'm thinking of a lot of stuff.
One of the most haunted areas that we definitely did go into, and I remember feeling like I was going to throw up the whole time. Like, when you go into a place that has bad energy.
Oh, absolutely.
And you feel this heaviness on your chest. Yeah. It was like the officers' quarters, like the barracks where the bedrooms were.
No, ma'am.
Which, by the way, tiny. It's like a big ship, but you know. There's tons of people. It's not the best conditions.
No, ma'am.
Very uncomfortable in there. So yeah, we visited every part, and I remember there's like kind of like a library type of place, I want to say.
Interesting. That
we went into that was kind of like you go down. I'm trying to describe this in the best way possible.
Sure.
But you're inside of a ship, so there's tons of levels. And there's tons of places where you open a door and you have to go down some stairs into a big room. Mm-hmm. Lots of places like that, which I hated because...
Oh, my stomach is already like... I'm sitting here going like, oh.
Yeah, and total darkness, freezing cold. And the entire time we're hearing the creaking of the boat.
Sure.
Is that the wind? Is that us? Like, but at the same time, I mean, I can't even count the amount of times we all stopped because we could all hear voices coming from somewhere, footsteps coming from somewhere, a door closing, like trying to figure out was that just the boat?
Right.
Or was that something?
Yeah.
It was just constant noise. And that was the scariest part, because it was like, I feel like there are 100. Like you said before, it felt like there were like 100 people around us the entire time. I swear, it really felt like it was teeming with activity.
I feel like a lot of places are like that, and I have no words.
Yeah.
I have no words like that. Ooh.
It was a lot. I still, like, get chills thinking about it, and definitely didn't sleep that night anyway. But I guess, like, the biggest thing that I remember really feeling like, oh shit, was we went down some steps, like a ladder type of thing, into this, I guess it was kind of like a little library. There were little desks and lots of books and things. And we went down in there, and it was really like the first time in my life where I felt so claustrophobic and so like in the presence of something.
Well, I'm just thinking
negative.
Oh, negative.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I'm thinking like, if I were to be a ghost, I would think of like the places that I would have to like end up, and like a library sort of thing seems like such a safe place.
That's definitely like, where I would see you being.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. I'd be like, I'm gonna chill in this little bookshop, call it a day. Like that's what I think. But I'm thinking, ooh, bad energy. I'm like,
and I don't know what it was, but we all felt it, because we were all like, ugh. When we came out, I was like, oh my gosh, it felt like something lifted off of me. And I was like, guys, I really hated it in there. Yeah. And everybody was like, oh my God, I thought I was crazy. Me too. Sure. And Bruce was like, yeah, a lot of people say that about that area. And there were a couple areas like that where it was just like, ooh, I don't want to be in here. We need to go. Yeah. But all this leads up to, okay, so we basically walk around the ship for, it felt like hours. And it was like a couple hours of walking around the ship, not really seeing anything concrete, but being freaked out.
Which honestly is enough. Like, if I left and that was it,
I would have been totally satisfied.
I'm like, that's good. Thank you so much.
Great birthday. Right. Happy B-Day to me. Yeah. So we're kind of coming up, like, we kind of, I guess, started on one end of the boat and looped around to the other side. So we ended up back at the entrance where the lights are on, where the tourists come in. It's the hangar deck. Okay. So we're kind of like almost to the end of the tour, I would say, because we're all kind of exhausted, and the adrenaline has made us all pretty like freaked out, and I was feeling pretty tired. So we were all walking kind of in a single file, like we kept doing that to like kind of make sure everybody could see everything. Sure. Because Bruce was kind of in the front, and my mom was kind of in the back. And I just remember we're walking towards, I'll show you a photo actually. There's like an area on the hangar deck where tourists can like rest and eat if they bring, a lot of people like bring their own little lunch and stuff. Like Boy Scouts stay the night all the time on the ship and stuff like that. So there's no, like, ma'am. You know.
No, cute. I'm going to stop you right there.
There's like a little snack bar.
Cute is not the word I would use at night.
It's not cute at all.
Okay.
So basically, like, this is the, I'll show you. This is kind of where you come in. That's kind of what it looked like at night. Like, the lights are on. Okay. But you see the vibe is not
No, I'm looking really at this. Creepy. I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing, like, what? Planes and, like, not enough light. And, like...
And it was really only, like, 3 lights. It was still dark.
I'm just seeing a lot of places that people can hide.
Absolutely.
Or ghosts can hide. Yeah. If we want to, go there. Yeah. I don't love it.
Well, that actually takes me back to, like, one of the famous kind of stories from the ship. There's a photo to go with it, which I had a hard time finding because it's kind of, like... been debunked maybe, or it's like not provable, but on the flight deck there's all these ships and helicopters as well, and there's a story of a couple on the tour. She like took a photo of a helicopter and then the photos like got developed, and there was like a soldier sitting in the helicopter.
Are you gonna show me that?
I couldn't find it.
Okay. I'm happy you didn't find it.
Yeah, and I know you don't really like that stuff.
So,
because there are a lot of photos that Bruce showed us that night that I don't have, and I'm glad, because there are some photos he showed us from previous people that had sent them to him, particularly in that library area I talked about.
No.
There is this photo.
Okay.
Of, like, I think a teacher took it on a school tour.
Mm-hmm.
And in this photo, there is, like, a dark, small figure with glowing eyes kind of sticking its head around the corner of a bookshelf.
Oh.
And let me tell you,
Ooh.
I don't know why he showed us that before the tour started. He showed us
this should have been photos after.
Yeah. It was horrifying. Like, the feeling I got seeing it made me want to die. There's lots of little places where people can hide, and that's part of why it was so creepy, is because the whole night I just felt like we were all looking over our shoulder and seeing something move in the distance.
Was there, like, a feeling, like, when you were on this tour that you were just being watched, like, the entire time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Totally.
I
never felt like this is chill and there's nothing happening here.
Okay.
But I'm also very paranoid about that type of thing because I believed in it. So I guess if you're on the ship doing this and you're a total skeptic, I feel like you'd at least be creeped out just because it's, like, a creepy environment.
Sure.
But I certainly felt a presence the entire time. Like, it felt like people were around us doing their thing. Like, not all of it was negative energy, which is great. It was just a couple times where I was like, I don't like it in here. But, yeah. So, it's a creepy place. And there's mannequins, too. So you'll, like, turn the corner and think you're seeing a ghost. And then you're like, oh, no, it's just that weird fucking wooden man. Anyway, so, all this to say...
Yes, so you're walking in this like
story.
Room. Okay.
So, like, we're walking along, and this is kind of what we're facing. It's like the snack bar area is what I'm showing him. And the glow of the snack bar thing is pretty much the only light in this area.
Okay.
So we're, like, walking along. There's some light, and I don't remember who said it first, but I just remember... all of a sudden I look up and there's a guy.
Okay.
Like, several feet in front of us, walking away from us, like, in the same direction.
Several feet, like would you say, like, how the distance between us, or, like...
No, further. I would say, I'm trying to think in terms of, like, a football field. I don't know.
Girl, like... you're talking to a homosexual. I do not know. Like, are we saying, like, 30 feet? Are we saying, like...
I would say, like, 20 to 30, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 to 30 feet.
Okay.
Like, far enough where you could yell... If you yelled to someone, like, hey, mister, stop, the person would have no trouble being like, oh my gosh, there's a group of people behind me. I'm going to turn around and address them.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's an echoey, like, big open space.
Right.
This, like, long stretch of walkway. So he's kind of towards, like, the glow of the snack machine and walking. And we all are, like, we start freaking out. It was pretty immediate. Like, we all saw him.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce saw him at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And assumed... I've seen, like, he did an interview. There's a YouTube channel of him on some, like, local news thing about haunted places. And he talked about, he thought it was an intruder.
Okay.
Immediately.
Sure.
And he told us that later, that he immediately went into, like, protector mode. Because he's got 3 underage girls here.
Ugh.
We're all alone. If an intruder's here, it could be very dangerous.
Oh, absolutely.
And this person looked... I mean, it was a dude. It was a guy who's probably, like, 6'2" or 3.
Okay.
Nice, tall, slender guy in a black pea coat walking away from us. Hands in his pocket, and he's at a casual pace.
Sure.
So we all start yelling at this guy to stop, turn around. Bruce is booking it after him. We all start running. It was like Scooby-Doo. Like, we were all like, we're in investigator mode, like, we're running after this guy.
Yeah.
And we're screaming at him, and he does not react at all to us.
And just keeps walking his normal pace?
Just keeps walking his normal pace, doesn't miss a step, doesn't turn his head, nothing. And there's 3 annoying high school girls screaming at you.
Yeah. Like, you're going to hear
would
that.
react.
Yeah.
And if it was an intruder...
You would still react.
He would turn and probably be like, oh, shit.
Right.
Either, I'm not an intruder, wait, don't yell at me, or he'd run. He didn't do either of those things. And that's what made me be like, what the fuck is happening?
Right.
So basically, we're all running after him. Bruce is yelling at him to stop, like, saying, like, you're not supposed to be here, stop. Yeah. Like, stop right now, freeze. And the guy keeps walking, turns the corner, and, like, fully disappears. Like, I was like, is that a trick of my eye, or did that guy literally just disappear?
Right.
And we went and saw where he turned, and there was nowhere he could have gone.
Right.
Just not an area where he could have run up some stairs.
Sure.
There's nothing there.
Like, you can't.
Yeah. There's nothing, no one. Whew. So, like, I still get chills. So, we're all reeling from this. So, Bruce calms us down, and we all go back to the room where we had met at the beginning of the evening. And the lights are on. He sits us all down. Okay. And he goes, all right, one by one. What did you experience? Sure. So one by one, we all go, including my mom. Mm-hmm. We all go and we all say the same fucking thing. Sure. And we're all having the same experience of like, what just happened? Like, what is going on? Yeah. Did that really just happen? I was like, obviously, I'm like, come on. Like, I don't know about this. Sure. What? Like, just trying to wrap my mind around it because there was really no explanation. Like, it was a full grown man that there was nothing ghosty looking about him. He didn't have the white sheet. You know, he wasn't see-through or like a shadow. He was just a guy walking. And Bruce was like, I've never experienced that here. So that was the first time he had experienced a full, like, form apparition of a person. And he had done that, tours of that boat for years. And he had never seen anything like that.
I feel like ghosts, this is my opinion, but I feel like ghosts are attracted to certain people. And I feel like both of us have, like, ghosts are attracted to us. So I feel like the reason he probably saw that ghost.
Ghosts are attracted to us.
We're just like, haunt me, daddy.
You said the thing.
Oh my God. So yeah, like that would make, in my mind, would make sense. It's like if you have that.
And my mom, I mean, she saw ghosts as a child.
Sure.
That kind of energy is very. Like,
so between the two of you.
Yeah, it makes sense. Dang. And we were so open to it. I mean, the whole night, in my mind, I was, like, praying. Yeah. I was really wanting to see something. And then I immediately regretted it because it was the most, like, terrifying moment.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's also another thing is, like, if you're willing to, like, accept seeing something. Like, it's that, they're more willing to, like, be like, okay, here I am then. Yeah. Which is a good thing, bad thing. Yeah. It's like, do I want this? I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is that I really believe, and we talked about this that night, and Bruce kind of took us through, you know, there are types of ghosts he believes in his experience. And, like, this particular ghost, it's the type that are just on repeat forever. Where they don't even know that they've passed. They don't know that, you know, they just keep going about their daily life because they aren't aware that they're even dead. So they just keep, and so they're not aware of us. Which would make sense why he didn't communicate. He didn't turn around. He didn't react.
He's just like living out his.
It's like we saw a piece of his time. Life.
Yeah. You know what it made me think, and I don't think I fully understand, like, the location, but in my mind I was like, what if you were seeing, like, the last moments before he, like, killed himself? Like, what if he like where he turned, was that, like, could he, like, jump off the ship? Because immediately I thought, like, oh, maybe he disappeared because he turned a corner and jumped off the ship and, like, killed himself. I know that's pretty morbid, but, like,
pretty
that's...
morbid. I mean, it was like a morbid location, though, but...
That's, like...
Not that I remember...
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't, like... If it was a perfect pathway to jump off the ship, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But I don't really remember specifically. But there, at the same time, in that area, there are multiple exits to go out onto the flight deck where you could then go over the edge of the ship.
Sure.
So it's definitely, like, a possibility.
Yeah.
But
I feel like there's
a
movie or something where there's someone who, like, sees ghosts, but only sees ghosts in their, like, last, like, moments before they die, over and over, or something like that.
It's very possible. But, I mean, after that, like, come to find out, Bruce told us that, you know, multiple people have said, like, something about seeing a shadow man on the ship. And we started calling him the Man in Black, because he was wearing this black pea coat. And in this interview that Bruce gave, he talked about, like, in that moment, our flashlights are flashing at the sky, and we all talked about how we realized later our flashlights were also hitting the wall behind him. So it was really like the light was going through him and not bouncing against him. And we all realized our flashlights against him. Like, there was no security logo on the back of his jacket like the other two security guards. I already mentioned the security guards were Marge and Dean that we talked about, like a little old guy that was short and a short middle-aged woman. Like, there was no way it was either of them.
Right.
And it was just one of those unexplained things that I will never forget, because I guess it changed my whole perspective on what an experience would be like.
Yeah.
Because it was just a normal looking person.
That's crazy.
And, like, we've talked about that a ton, like, living in a populated area, like New York City.
Yeah.
People are walking around you all the time.
It's like, who knows? Like,
who's to say that's a real person or a ghost?
Obviously, before COVID, like, people... I mean, I'm not saying currently no one's out past, like, 10 p.m., but, like, I feel like in the past, I would be out, you know, sometimes after a night at the bar or something, like, 2, 3, and, like, millions of people are still out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, am I actually seeing millions of people, or, like, a lot of these people ghosts? Because I simply don't know, because this town is really old and spooky, and, like, you know, I feel like when you get down, like, downtown, like, downtown, like, in the village, where everything's, like, small alleys, small streets, small stores, it's, like...
A lot of history.
I'm, like, literally, there's so many things in here, like, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
But that's for another time.
Yeah. But that was definitely the moment where I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I am a full-blown believer.
Absolutely.
I know what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
It's my mom's favorite story to tell at parties now.
Mm.
And she does it so much better than me. Like, but, yeah, it was just crazy. And, I mean, we talked about it at school every fucking day. Everybody probably hated us. But it was crazy. And it was definitely a defining moment.
Oh, absolutely.
For me as a little... ghost-loving gal.
Wow.
It was very cool. And I feel very lucky. Because the circumstances were kind of crazy. Like, why? I don't know how things lined up so perfectly that we could do that tour without a big group of, you know, tourists.
Yeah, I feel like if it had been any more people, like, it wouldn't have...
Yeah.
I feel like the library, like, the
absolutely.
walk, it wouldn't have been what it was.
Yeah. We really got to experience, like, solitude on the ship. And that was, I think, the reason we experienced so much. Because they weren't afraid to come out.
Oh.
But yeah, that's my story on the USS Yorktown. That's just, like, one piece of Charleston that's hella haunted, though.
Right.
And I will definitely talk about more in the future, but
This is definitely just us telling, like, our kind of our first experiences. Yeah. Like, there's obviously just so many more stories that I'm like, oh, what about this? What about this?
Yeah.
I know in the future we're going to talk about like all of our New York ghosts and all of, like there's just...
We'll definitely talk about the ghost at our store.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother... Ooh, a spook of time.
But I think that's probably for another time.
Another time. But I think, you know... Here's to the first episode.
Yeah.
You know, that was our first story.
I got spooked.
I got a little spooked.
I think the goal is if we don't get scared, it wasn't a good episode.
It wasn't. But you know, I feel haunted, and I feel like we had a good haunt me daddy moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of. This is the podcast. This is what we're doing. I'm excited to tell more of our stories, to hear other people's stories. I think we're also, you know, why not get some fun ghost stories that we're not involved in, and like we try and retell them a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know, as much as we can get like, you know, first-hand experiences. Friends and family. But yeah, I'm excited to keep going, you know.
Just, you know, keep following along for more.
We'll be on the Instagram.
And if you have a ghost story,
let us know.
We are begging you to tell us. Like, we really want to hear. Yeah, and just keep following along for more spooky content.
I guess all the kids out there say, you know, go rate this podcast on
like and subscribe
and follow and all those things.
All right.
I think that's it.
I think so.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for joining us on
Haunt Me Daddy.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye. Play with us.